Okay, so this morning I wanted to talk about something that occasionally jimmies my jammies, it ruffles my non existent feathers. Before I get into the actual topic, I wanted to introduce it in the way of if I was any of the deadly sins out of the seven, I'd be pride or anger if those are ones I think they are, and that kind of goes into the topic. So you've probably seen what I'm about to talk about in a variety of forms, maybe on TikTok, maybe on Facebook. I don't know how old you are, so this video is going to relate to you in a different way probably. Let's start off by a visual example. It's stuff like this. It's the stuff where it's like, only 90s kids will remember, only early 2000s babies will remember. Like, may I start off by saying, it's okay to be like, oh yes, I remember this. And this is also just a jab at me because I get riled up about this stuff sometimes. You go onto Facebook or you go onto TikTok and there's someone saying, oh, only this time of people being born remember this certain thing where they're valid to like remember something. So having the only 90s kids thing is fine. Early 2000s, whatever decade or whatever time slot you want to talk about, that's fine. The part that usually gets me is the part when you have people in the comments or whatever out of that dictated time slot saying, oh, I'm a 2006 baby and I remember this. Part of me thinks that it's the fact that I'm annoyed by someone being, oh, I'm special, I remember this, but then I think it's also the part of me that I'm denying where I'm like, no, they're younger or older than me, they can't possibly know what this thing is that like clearly a lot of people know about. I had something else planned for today's video, but like this has been in my head and I'm the kind of person who's like, if I think of a video idea, I won't stop thinking about it until it's done, so I just have to get this out of the way because then my like blood pressure levels will lessen. And it should honestly be cool that, like, people from different decades or whatever experience similar things. But I guess it's the whole thing of when someone outside of that time, whatever, says that they know about it, we're all just like, that can't be a thing. You don't know about when you combine Crayola markers to make a lightsaber. You don't know about that. I truly don't know what the cause of my anxiety around that is, because I like those kind of posts. I like the ones where people will have a selected playlist of songs from, like, example, the early 2000s or the late 90s, and people will, like, duet it, and then they'll say whether or not they remember those. And then you, of course, have the younger people, which is totally fine, who aren't familiar with the songs, which, like, that makes sense. Those songs aren't being played as much anymore. But then you have people in the comments who are like, haha, younger generation have poopy music. Like, that just, I don't know, it's crazy. And I guess that's also part of another thing, a subgenre of that, the trend of, oh, middle schooler going into high schooler, they're gonna be picked on, like the differences between freshman, junior, sophomore, and senior, however your school does that. I know other countries do it differently. But you always have the people saying, oh, dislike freshmen because different, annoying, haha, funny swag. And it's like the thing, I guess, is that everyone, of course, is going to be raised differently. They're going to experience different things. Honestly, I wish I wasn't going through a time period where I was going through historical events like COVID, I would just love to be like a prairie farmer making some potatoes. I don't know. I guess I want to be Technoblade, I guess. But like, it's just, I guess it all goes down to everyone experiences different things, and the people who experience similar things look at those differences and they're like, we had it so much better. That's like saying you're from like England way back in time when you had the plague, and then you see your kids and you're like, oh man, it's so tough. We had rats, and we had poop in the sewers. Our time period was so much tougher. That kind of thing. That's like when older people say, man, this generation is so weak because they haven't been to war. Do you want us to go to war and like, yeet each other? Like, I don't think that's a good thing to do. But it's just so crazy because this is one of those things that like I shouldn't get riled up about, but I do, because it's like, it's just something deep in my soul where I'm like, you can't clearly, have the same experience that I did because you're either younger or older, and that's stupid because that's just stupid. I just had to do this video because I've thought about it for so long, and I was like, I have to get it out of my mind, because after I upload this, I'm just gonna feel so free and so happy about life. And it's clearly still a thing that's going because it's like I'll sometimes make the joke where I see like a little child at a restaurant with an iPad. I'm like, haha, funny iPad kids, but they're gonna grow up and like be doctors at some point, and I'll be on my deathbed or something, and they'll save me, and I'll be like, dang, I'm sorry I called you an iPad kid, you know? I guess each group just wants to have a special attachment to the experiences that they had. Therefore, when someone also experiences those and claims that very proudly by saying, not all early 2000s babies, you know, that kind of stuff. It's a weird situation, and I kind of hate that we're still going through it. I guess it's a continuous cycle through the years. Yeah. But that's it. If you have any experiences with this, please feel free to share, or just like your opinion on it in general, because I think it's very interesting, because it's like we all pin each other against each other. Is that even the way to phrase that? We just get mad at each other for no reason because someone's older or younger than us. And it's kind of also the thing like, different parents raise their kids differently, and then older people are saying, oh, this generation is way worse than the other one, which, you know, that may be the case. Like, there's some things with this like younger generations, I'm like, dang, I would have never done that or thought that way, but that's okay because they were raised differently. And that's just how it be. History is continuously evolving and unevolving because sometimes we just be big dumb.